Yes, sir. We must say no.
The first film essay I ever wrote was titled The Wedding Party, Lessons in Authentic Storytelling from the Bruce Lee of Visuals. The reason I deemed it fit to extol the originality of that movie is that in most films made for a wide cinema release in Nigeria, there appears to be a dearth of authentic storytelling. Nollywood seems haunted by an absence of stories that engage the audience without pulling their punches, challenging their worldview, and ensuring that by the time the credits roll, they are left with something tangible, more than just a good time. Film can be entertainment and art at the same time. It can appeal to a wide audience and still be full of compassion or passion rather, and originality behind and in front of the camera. On the bright side, change is coming to Nollywood, but it must be known that there's a type of cinema that exists at the edge of what is popular, a cinema that the term indie doesn't do justice because it's less about ideas and more about reality.
You now beg they beg Oga. Say make you please put something on top my salary. I need new shoe. So I go feel wrong way.
Oga, see now. People see us for road now, they no go respect us now. Say na Nike be my employer. Yes. Hey, Oga.
It is authentic, gutsy, militant, and anarchic, in both its content and its approach to filmmaking conventions. It doesn't aim for a wide release mostly, but it is content with making its way across festivals and conferences. It is satisfied being the topic of discussion among film buffs and ordinary people. Mr. Gbenga's hard drive primarily follows the travels of Arinze, a hapless accountant, over a day. We see him, he trudges from place to place in search of a solution to his boss's hard drive, which has stopped working. His odyssey is set against the backdrop of the NSAS protests that rocked the nation sadly in October 2020. This is a good place to point out that none of the shots featuring young people carrying placards raging against the government are staged. They were filmed at the time of the protests and spliced into the movie in post-production. This documentary, playing side by side with the narrative, not only influences the tone and plot of the movie, but also creates a certain atmosphere that informs the entire viewing experience of the audience. Throughout the runtime, it's like an incessant buzzing in our minds, made more potent given how fresh the event is in our collective memory. Chuku Martin in Mr. Gbenga's hard drive employs experimental film techniques pioneered by cinematic movements such as Italian neorealism, the French New Wave, and cinema verite, including jump cuts, fourth wall breaks, and character asides, lack of closure, elliptical editing, and the use of non-actors in real locations. These elements are not mere affectations sprinkled in to impress. They deepen the viewer's understanding of the world of the film and endear them more to the characters.
The whole country is just frustrating. You are telling me, okay, I should go and protest. Protest why? Who am I? Now my kind person they define for protest ground. How many strength I see? Just 3 boys now. Now them harass me.
The camera frolics and staggers about the various locations. All of this is intentional, of course. The cinematography by Okwong Fadamana doesn't use any source of lighting apart from the sun. Natural, as all but a couple of scenes are filmed outdoors. All this does is heighten the film's sense of realism.
Nike be my employer. Hey, Oga, I need confirmed security personnel car.
Yes, something like this. Oga, something like this for him, please.
Chuku Martin, who had his start in theatre, is also likely inspired by the aside, a dramatic device in which a character speaks directly to the audience.
Arinze has a job, so he thinks I'm jobless. He thinks I'm jobless because I don't do all of that tie and white shirt bullshit.
The world Arinze lives in is a hostile one. It's his own tailor-made hell. It's almost as if invisible forces are working around the clock to make his life difficult. His conditions would be funny if it wasn't so true. I mean, if this wasn't the reality of countless Nigerians day in, day out. You see, throughout his journey, he encounters one disaster after another, mixed with disappointment and served with a side of existential crisis.
Like this, I like as you talk, say life dey meaningless. Because I say as life dey meaningless, if everything has meaning, as he dey look am, that means everything does not have meaning. Zero sum. You get am? And the
to me, my favorite part of the film is in the midpoint where Arinze engages in a 15-minute conversation with his friend and one other guy about everything from relationship troubles, beer, meaning and meaninglessness to nihilism and existentialism. I mean, the raw, unscripted energy of the film, it really shines here. You see, Mr. Gbenga's hard drive functions as a critique of the powers that be, of the big men and women in a country in whose best interest it is that the plight of the citizens continues without end.
The country has gone mad and has gone mad again.
I am at the toll gate. The Nigerian army is killing our Nigerians. Say no to body government.
The hard drive takes up so much screen time that it becomes absurd to a point how invested Arinze is in getting it fixed. Similar to the MacGuffin in Pulp Fiction, it is never revealed what's in the hard drive. I mean, this is not an oversight. The movie actively avoids answering that question. The hard drive's contents aren't as important as the power it holds over the protagonist. A film like this, no doubt, has several influences, not just aesthetically, but also in its thesis. I mean, watching it, I couldn't help but notice some of them. The first one that came to mind was the New American Cinema Group 1962, a group of filmmakers led by Jonas Mekas, including John Cassavetes, Alfred Leslie, and Edward Bland, released a statement under their newly formed group. They said the official cinema all over the world is running out of breath, they said, before going on to also describe it as morally corrupt, aesthetically obsolete, thematically superficial, and they decried popular cinema, what they called the product film. The last few lines of their manifesto are the most interesting parts. They said, we are for art, but not at the expense of life. We don't want false, polished, slick films. We prefer them rough, unpolished, but alive. We don't want rosy films. We want them the color of blood. This is the attitude at the heart of the production of Mr. Gbenga's hard drive, and it is no accident that Martin calls his films rough plays, and this is because they are unconventional and daring in their content as well as their execution. The movie also bears some semblance to Italian neorealist films in its emphasis on telling the stories of ordinary people, its compassionate point of view, and the refusal to make easy moral judgments. Its use of realism borders on documentary, and its employment of natural settings and prevalence of social political themes is also something pioneered by Italian neorealism. Icon of African cinema, Sembene will say,
au Congo du temps de Lumumba. 40 ans, j'avais 40 ans. Quand j'ai pris conscience que le cinéma facilitait la prise de conscience, parce que le cinéma c'est un meeting permanent avec le public. Dans une salle de cinéma, vous avez catholiques, musulmans, gaullistes, communistes et tout ça. Quand le film est bon, chacun perçoit et accepte ce qu'il.
And the world and characters of Mr. Gbenga's hard drive are correspondingly rich and detailed, you see. I keep talking about the audience because in movies like this, the audience plays an active role in the narrative. And this isn't the kind of film you can switch off your brain and consume. Rather, it's one that demands your unwavering attention. Catch-22, the anti-war novel by Joseph Heller, has such a mad kinetic energy about it, and that when it was released, a review from the New Yorker said it doesn't seem to have been written. Instead, it gives the impression of having been shouted onto paper. I couldn't help but reflect on that statement when I saw Mr. Gbenga's hard drive. I mean, here is a film, the color of blood,